throwing off of the hump, I'm going to remove my bat pins. I will then remove this. Now, you probably don't want to do this immediately. I would recommend maybe throwing 1 or 2 jars and then removing all of this and doing your lids, okay? I do not recommend trying to make the same exact opening vessel twice, so you're having easier time making lids because you only have 1 measurement. That will take you longer to replicate that opening size. Remember, you only need 1 lidded jar. So, again, this is an arbitrary amount. What I need to do, though, is using my piece of paper and my board, I need to write what this measurement is. This is also very helpful if you have difficulty making the lid. You're doing the measurement right now to how this is wet. If it starts drying, it will start shrinking. So if I made a lid to a form that was leather hard, it would not fit. You need to do the same, do the 2 at the same time. If I can't do that, then at least I have my measurement documented successfully of what it is wet. And I will make that new lid to that measurement. So you can see I just marked 2 lines, and I like to just draw a line in between. And now I'm going to open my calipers so I have an understanding of what the measurement of my lid is, and I will open them to this measure. Okay, and I'm going to keep that somewhere nice where it won't get bumped. Put my measurement here. Okay. When you throw off of the hump, believe it or not, you really don't have to center the whole mass. You have to center what you're using. So I can cone up, push down, and now I'm going to only work with this amount of clay. That's it. So I'm going to hold this, my hands are underneath, fingers are on top. If I wanted to, I could still cone that up and push that down. So working off of the hump is throwing multiple pieces off of this one piece. A lot of people do, most people do this with lids. Some people do this also with like teacups, tea bowls is a very common way of throwing. All right. So I am only going to work with this amount of clay. Notice that I want a good undercut of where I'm ending. I want a nice centered piece on top. And I'm now going to kind of give myself an idea of how wide do I have to pull this piece. All right. So this one is thrown right side up. So when I put my thumbs, I'm not going to put them in the center. I put them on either side, and I'm going to push down and raise the knob. Raise the knob. Notice that my fingers are underneath here, so they're supporting. All right, so that's probably a big enough knob. After I throw that, it's going to be fine. Now, I can, if I want to, take the time to throw the knob now, or I could do that later. I tend to like to do it sooner. The knob is up to you, but understand that certain knobs or finials will work better than others. Something that is shaped like this might not work very well as a knob because it's very hard to lift, right? Because of this taper. It usually has a slight undercut and then goes wider so you're able to grab it. So I just do this by lightly squeezing here. So I'm narrowing. Now I'm supporting and I'm lightly pressing here. So now I have a slight undercut. All right. For pulling, my finger's gonna be here, supporting that underneath area. That's why it's very important to give yourself that sectioned area, that undercut, so your finger has a place to go. My thumb is on top, and my thumb is all the way to the knob. I'm gonna squeeze the clay lightly and pull out. Now, as I'm pulling out, I'm pulling up like it's a bowl. Okay, just a little, because this isn't gonna go straight. It's gonna have a curve, and I'll compress the rim. All right, now let's see, how much wider do I need to make this? A lot wider. Okay, gotta keep pulling. So again, I'm gonna squeeze my thumb and my finger and then start pulling out. And compress the rim. And how is that going? Not there. And there's not enough clay to even pull anymore. It's totally, if I keep pulling, that's it, it's gone. So, messed up, not enough clay, pinch this off, center again, lifting new mass, knowing that I need more clay this time. I did not section enough clay for that lid. This is a wide lid. You do not need to make them this wide. So again, I'm gonna section a new mass. Fingers are underneath, hands on top. All right, so again, thumbs not in the middle. Push down. Looks good. Shape the knob if wanting to now. Now I'm slowing down my wheel speed to pull. So where am I pulling? If this is a cloth, where am I pulling? Where am I pulling? A cloth. A 4. Usually about 4 or 5. Is that the same as when you pull? Same as when you pull a vessel. Always the same. Do not have your hand over here. Don't have it over here. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Notice that it's not. It looks like it could be like about a centimeter or two too wide. I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna keep this one. But what I always do, for every single one-lidded jar I throw a minimum of 2 lids. Still to this day, I'm not kidding, 2 lids that match that form. I really, really would recommend doing so. Even though you think your measurement is right, it might be slightly off. You might also mess up on trimming. You might drop it. Then, if that happens, if you don't have that initial first measurement, you cannot rethrow the lid for the vessel. That means you then have to throw a new vessel and a new lid. Yes? Make sense? So, throwing more than one will also help you be better at this. All right, so how do I take this off? I want to make sure that I give myself plenty of space to be able to pick this up. So I am going to take this tool and I'm going to notch out. It doesn't matter how far, okay? As long as I feel comfortable lifting it. I want to be able, I'm not going to use any of this clay at all. It'll all be taken off. Dry your hands. Pick this up. So again, I'm not going to use any of this clay. It's giving me the ability to put it down and pick it up without distorting it. Okay, one more, really quick. Thumbs again, not in the middle, push down, form the knob. This is fast at first because I'm centering and I'm kind of opening, right? And now I'm forming the knob, and I usually like that to be on the faster side. When I start pulling though, it's going slower. Pulling a lid is the same, if you think about it, as pulling your forms. So if you pull too quickly, you're going to have that spiral method happen. Not good. You want to pull to a speed that is good for how fast your wheel is spinning. And compressing the rim. Okay. Okay, that's what I kind of wanted. This one seems a little bit bigger. All right, does that mean I have to throw it again? No. I can, very carefully, using my needle tool. I usually like to use it from above. I'm gonna hover first. When I get through, it hits my hand on the other side, and then I'm going to draw it towards me. Okay, so I cut it away. It didn't stick, so I went like that, and I pulled it, so I cut it. Now, I can refine this. So, if you pull a little large, you can fix it. Pretty happy with that. All right. Make sure I'm going to get all the water away. I'm going to make a line for my wire cutter to go. That helps not have a lid sit like this on your board because I'm wire cutting it straight. That's a guide for me to do that. Just words of advice, or else a lot of times you'll cut like this and then you'll try and put it on your board and then you'll hit one side of the lid because you cut it uneven. I wrap it around that, pull back. Okay.